Hello everyone, and welcome back to Trans Am, round number 4 of Season 5. We are here at Dragon Trail for this one, and here are the championship standings prior to the round. We've got Artsy in the championship lead, but Artsy not here, unfortunately, for the remainder of the season, so that really puts Jester in the best position on points so far, but still plenty left to play out. So again, at this stage we're not going to look too closely into the championship standings. We'll go into more detail in rounds 5 and 6, but anyway, we are driving the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, the non-engine swapped version, which only goes up to just over 600 horsepower with all of the available tuning upgrades. So yeah, we're going to be a little bit underpowered for this one, but it sounds like an absolute beast, so you know, I can't complain too much. So yeah, we'll see how things go, and it's a very stable and drivable car, which is the most important thing. We have wet weather for qualifying, as you can see, and our outlap even is very tentative, but we'll see what we can do in quali as we come around to complete our first flyer. We go very deep into the final double left-hander, this square section, but we survive well enough, and it will be able to get a lap time on the board, but it won't be a particularly fancy one. With the amount of water on the track, we end up with a lap time over 2 minutes. So yeah, we should definitely be able to improve on that. We come around again to finish our next flyer, and this should hopefully be an improvement. We're still going to be over the 2 minute mark, which isn't ideal, but we get down to a 2:04.0, so a marginal improvement on our previous lap. But yeah, these conditions in quali are very, very tricky, and in fact we completely bin it, and I just retired from the session straight away, because just moments before that I noted how much time was left in the session, and if we leave pits right now, we will be coming around the final corner and starting our lap with very little time left in the session. So that could work out very well for us. So long as we can survive the outlap, we should be able to put our final lap in as the track is drying up at the end of the session. A big slide though through this quadruple right-hander. We just nudged the wall with the front end, which has caused a bit of front end damage to the car. I tried to flick spin it on the spot there, maybe got in the way a little bit, hopefully not, but anyway, we managed to keep things going, and we will be able to start our lap in time, I think. But yeah, that's not an ideal way to get through the outlap, but we'll see. We've got Ash in front of us, who's also starting the final flyer quite late in the session, so we'll watch out for Ash towards the end, because that could be the difference. But anyway, we start our flying lap, and yeah, with just a few seconds on the clock, we will see what we can do. We currently sit down in P7, and I think if we can get this lap in, we can improve on that, because in front of us Jester's in pits, so Jester's done for the session. So that's potentially at least one position we can gain in these slightly drier conditions. Choosing to avoid that curb on the left on this occasion. I really just want to get this lap in, because I haven't really got a proper clean lap in yet, and we're purple to the first sector. Ash has driven away from us massively, so that's not a true purple sector, but that does show that there is plenty of pace in the circuit at the moment as we bring it around the hairpin, and again just keeping it steady throughout this lap, and just trying to ensure that we get our lap time in. So as we come through the S section now, very tricky to navigate this section, wet or dry conditions, but we get through there okay on this occasion, and over the crest into this big dipper section, another purple sector. So we are keeping this pace up, throughout that middle sector, despite not getting through there as well as I might have liked. Nicely through the long right-hander there, maybe could have carried a touch more speed, but it's very difficult to judge exactly how much grip we've got at the moment. But into the final double left-hander, and missing that first apex slightly, coming back to again just slightly miss the second one, but we'll get the power down on the exit. We'll see what sort of lap time we can put in as we come up to the line now. And we are going to go P5, and that is a best qualifying of the season. Still a ways off pole, but that is a qualifying session that I am very, very happy with. Strategically, I couldn't have done that much better other than, you know, not crashing on the outlap, I suppose. But Slash takes pole position ahead of Ash, and there are just 0.2 of a second in it. A little bit further back to Gren in third position, Sparrow with another decent qualifying in P4, myself P5 ahead of Uncle Pete, Bananotto, Jester rounding out the top 8. So yeah, that was a pretty fun qualifying session actually. I really enjoyed that one, and yeah, that is yeah, the best qualifying I've had for a while. So let us get into the race. We'll run through the starting grid as well as, of course, what tyres everyone will be starting on. Slash starts on pole position on the medium compound tyres in the non-engine swapped Camaro, which is cool to see. Ash starts out of P2 on the hard compound tyres. Grenster, an equal best qualifying in P3, strangely enough, on the medium tyres as well. And Sparrow starts out of P4 on the softs. Starting at P5 is myself, a best qualifying of the season so far, and we'll be starting on the soft compound tyres with our Ares and Athena themed car for this round. Starting out of P6, we've got Uncle Pete on the hard compound tyres. Bananotto starts out of P7 on the hard compound tyres as well. Then it's Jester in P8 on the mediums in the Mach 1. Good to see a couple of those cars on the grid. And then starting out of P9, we've got Jokin on the hard compound tyres, and Ferbs rounding off the grid also on the hards. A lot of drivers trying to get those hards out of the way early in this race. But that is how we all line up for this 1 hour race at Dragon Trail Gardens. That's where we all finish. The 5 red lights come on, and we are underway for Trans Am round 4 at Dragon Trail Gardens, and it's a pretty good launch off the line for us. We're going to round up Gren towards turn 1, and we might even have a run at Ash. So the hard tyre starters struggling off the line. Sparrows through to the inside, might even have a go at the race lead here through turn 1. Side by side with Slash, 2 by 2 we go through turn 1. We'll move ourselves up into third position as Slash moves across. It's 3 wide into turn 2. Around the outside we go, and we're going to move up into the race lead as we use all the road to get that move done. But we're up into first place at the start of this race, and that is an incredible start for us. We'll see how long this lasts, but Slash just moved across enough to give us a window around the outside, and that was all the opportunity we needed. We found some good grip out there, and yeah, we're able to make it work. Already slipping up though in the braking zone. Traction very hard to come by here as we try and get some power down on the exit. But a big moment there. Sparrow's up the inside as we head into the S section. We're very deep, almost dragging the right wheels in the grass as we try to keep it on the inside. Bit of contact with Sparrow, who was coming in quite sharply there, but Sparrow gets through, and Gren goes for the move around the outside as well. So we're getting swamped at the moment as we've now got Slash on our left-hand side as we head down into the quadruple right-hander. And this never-ending corner. Slash trying to make the move around the outside. We'll get there as well, and we're back down into P4, almost back to where we started. But a big moment there as well on the exit. Managed to keep things pointing in the right direction. But yeah, what a chaotic start to this race. And 3 wide into turn 2. That was a really fun sequence. But yeah, we'll see how the rest of the race pans out. But a clean first lap, and looks like a few will be diving off into pit lane early in this one. We're on the softs, so we are going to march on. We'll take a look at a few replays of the start. We'll go on board with Slash to see how things looked from this perspective. Good launch versus Ash, but Sparrow goes for the big move down the inside, and you know, that is 3 different tyre compounds right there, and the difference, you know, you can see for myself and Sparrow, so much more grip off the line. The initial launch, very, very good, and then yeah, Slash just moved across in the braking zone, gave us a car's width on the outside, and we're able to take it and get through cleanly on the inside. We I think actually copped a whack from Sparrow on the exit as we sort of slid across in front. Speaking of sliding, that was a huge moment for Sparrow there, and that gave the opportunity to Slash briefly to get around the outside. Gren barges through on the inside and shoves that Mustang on the inside of Slash, but not able to get through on Sparrow, and Slash goes for the switch back, not quite going to find it there, and will remain behind Gran for a bit longer. But yeah, very chaotic opening sequence, but seems like everyone got through cleanly enough. And yeah, here I was trying so hard to keep it on the inside, but yeah, the front tyres not finding any grip on the inside line there, and yeah, unfortunately we sort of continued that theme throughout the rest of this lap. I just really struggled to find the grip, and yeah, here's the move from Slash all the way around the outside. We did our best to give Slash a car's width on the outside, and Slash was able to get around cleanly and make that move all the way up into P3, but still not a great first lap for Slash, dropping from first to third ultimately. On board with Ash then, who initially got a good launch, but dropped back again, and yeah, eventually Sparrow made that move down the inside into turn 1. Ash trying to look up the inside of Slash, but wasn't going to make that one 3 wide, and we find the grip around the outside with the soft compound tyres on, and yeah, Ash on the hards just can't really fight with us at the moment. Everyone else around on softer tyres, and look at this, 3 wide, and a few little nudges, but no significant contact between us. So yeah, that was all very well managed by everyone there, because 3 wide in the wet at the start of the race, for the lead no less, could have gone very wrong very quickly, but yeah, we all gave each other space, and yeah, that all worked out very well. But yeah, Ash throughout the entire lap struggling for grip on those hard compound tyres, but as we were trying to give Slash some room around the outside, running side by side through there, gave Ash the opportunity to really close in, and then we had this big slide on the exit. Ash was having a bit of a moment as well, but ultimately didn't quite have the run on the exit, and Jester was actually able to sneak through on the right hand side as well as Ash backs out of that. So yeah, it was a very hard fought first lap all around. I think we'll go on board with Gren now to see a few replays from this perspective, and the switchback there as we were fighting away with Sparrow. Nicely done. Almost got around the outside of Sparrow there, and Gren's on the mediums with Sparrow on the softs. So Gren is finding a ton of grip in these medium compound tyres. So yeah, it's a very good first lap for Gren, and finding grip on tyres that Slash was certainly struggling a little bit more on in the early stages of this one. But oh, a big moment on the exit there though, and that's just almost where the track was getting dry under the bridge. But we'll see on board with Gren what happened here. Big look down the inside of the final corner, almost drills Sparrow, but gets it stopped, and now tries to line up a good exit. Sparrow leaving some room on the apex, but here's the traction battle on the exit. Sparrow with a big moment, and Gren making the move on Sparrow towards start of lap 2. We go on board then with Sparrow, and we'll see this incredible launch as well for Sparrow. The soft tyres working very well off the line for both of us, and yeah, essentially gives Sparrow pole position into turn 1, but Slash able to find enough grip around the outside to keep it side by side. And then the way Slash just moved across slightly gave us that window to make that move, but Sparrow did a great job to get it stopped on the apex and give us space. We sent it up there, and yeah, Sparrow really had no choice but to give us a little nudge on the exit. Huge slide on the exit there for Sparrow, but got away with it. And yeah, I believe there was no damage for anyone in that sequence. The contact wasn't anything significant, so yeah, we all play on. But we go aboard then with Uncle Pete, and not a great start to this one. I'm not sure if that was either a penalty for jumping the start, or if Uncle Pete just struggled off the line. But either way, Uncle Pete drops to P10 at the start of this one, and yeah, has a lot of work to do to get those positions back. On board then with Bananotto to see how the start went for another one of the hard compound tyre runners at the start of this race. And the further back you go, you can see quite a lot of spray in front, so we're quite fortunate not to have too many cars. But when you're right tucked in behind someone, there is a fair bit of spray on these replays. But we'll see how things go for Bananotto, as Jester is already through off the line basically. Joken makes a move around the outside as well. Joken on the hards, finding some good enough grip there, as it all gets a little bit chaotic through the chicane, and Banano trying to get the power down on the exit on the outside, as Jester's looking to the inside of Ash. Joken just holding off Bananotto there, and Bananotto slots in behind. So yeah, we'll go on board later in the lap. Bananotto makes the move on Joken down the inside into the final couple of corners, and Joken sends it in a little bit deeper. Bananotto on the inside line, as they're going to run side by side all the way through, and it'll be a traction battle on the exit. But Bananotto is actually going to dive it into the pit lane. So, as do many of the hard compound tyre runners. Here's the onboard with Jester having to dodge Uncle Pete right off the start, but gets pretty good power down nonetheless, and yeah, gains those two spots straight away towards turn one. And there's Gren on the medium compound tyres, so that's you know, an even fight between those two. But Jester finding a bit more traction at the moment, makes the move to the outside with Ash there as well. Oh, that got a bit tight on the apex, giving Ash a bit of a nudge, and thankfully Ash is able to catch it. So a few moments of contact through the first few corners, but nothing too serious. Jester gets the move done on Ash towards the hairpin, and moves up another position. So a very good start for Jester, as Gren and Slash are going at it, and Gren is trying to put the pressure on Sparrow already, as Jester has a moment on the exit. Ash gets back through, so there is plenty of action throughout this first lap, and yeah, there was yeah, a lot of drivers struggling for traction, having little moments, making overtakes, getting re-overtaken. There was always something going on, which is why we have to go through so many replays here. But anyway, Jester then through the quadruple right-hander, and trying to take a bit of a wider line here, and maybe go for the run on the exit, get a run on Ash with a good exit here. Goes for the move to the right-hand side, and makes the move on Ash. Was almost coming up alongside us, didn't quite have the speed, and then gives us a slight touch in the braking zone, but no harm done there. We're able to get back to the second apex and carry on. Jester on those mediums carries on behind us, as well as a few of the others, as you can see, diving off into pit lane. Jester though thinking about the move to the inside, doesn't quite have the speed though, so we'll stay behind for now. Then goes for the move very late there, dives to the apex, sends it in and gets it done. So nice move there from Jester, and makes a clean move up into what is currently third position. Slash dives into pit lane at the end of the first lap, and moves on to the hard compound tyres to get those out of the way early in this one. Ash does the opposite, gets rid of the hard tyres and puts the mediums on. Also into the pit lane is Bananotto. Bananotto will move on to a set of the soft compound tyres. And then Joken also diving in. Joken will move on to the soft compound tyres. And then Ferbs diving into pit lane as well, moving on to a set of the medium compound tyres. So already a lot of different types of strategies are playing out, but Joken drops behind Ferbs, taking on fuel. Ferbs choosing not to refuel this time. So yeah, that is the difference there. But we continue on board with myself, and that's the replay of Jester sending it up the inside, and you can see the difference because on the exit we did get a little bit of good traction there, but not close enough to fight back there, and Jester's got more pace anyway, so there's no point making an argument out of that one, and Jester's through ahead of us into P3, but yeah, with the weather conditions as they are, my main focus at the moment is just to keep it clean. Back with Ash then, after that pit stop now on the medium compound tyres, struggling through the chicane though, and that allows Bananotto to get through around the outside of the third part of the chicane, and Bananotto moves ahead of Ash. On board with myself though, as we follow Jester into the hairpin. A big moment for Jester there. We almost come to a complete stop trying not to hit Jester. Thankfully Jester ghosts, and then ultimately gets a better exit out of the corner and gets us back. So yeah, I'm not sure how that one works, but we were just so slow through there, trying not to make contact as we were a little bit out of control ourselves into there, but certainly not to the same extent. We were just running in a bit deep, but yeah, Jester with a big moment, but gets away with that one without losing a terrible amount of time. Here's the replay, and yeah, just flicked it round in the braking zone, and yeah, we slowed right up trying not to hit him, but there was no way I could avoid at that point. But Jester, because of the half spin, was able to get going quite quickly, already pointing towards the next section of the track. As we carry on though, big moment there on the exit of the quadruple right-hander, but we get away with that one. But that's one of the spots around this circuit where it is very easy to lose traction, as we go on board with Joken, who's on those soft compound tyres. Ferbs on the mediums. It doesn't make that one too difficult, and gives it up to Joken. Meanwhile, Uncle Pete will be diving into pit lane at the end of lap number 2, and moving on to the soft compound tyres for Uncle Pete. Slash also comes into the pits to get rid of the hard compound tyres, which have only seen one lap of action. Soft tyres going on for Slash, and the same story for Ash. After getting the hards and mediums out of the way, soft tyres on for Ash. We go back to Bananotto then, who is running in the top 5 at the moment, but that is not the right direction. That is Bananotto off the road on the right hand side, approaching a left hand corner. Maybe he tried to turn right to go left. It didn't work. He went right, and drops a few spots there, so unfortunate for Bananotto. We look back to Slash, who's down in 9th position after those couple of early stops, but is already putting the pressure on Uncle Pete, and might have some good traction. Nice little switch back there on the exit, and Slash is going to be able to move up into P8 ahead of Uncle Pete, and Ash not far behind, might be quick to follow, we'll see. But we've got Ferbs coming through the S's now, and running nicely in that Camaro. Oh, big slide on the exit though, and that is a full spin for Ferbs, and dropping out of contention there from P6, and now has to wait for the field to go by. Oh, that's a painful place to stop for Ferbs. Will eventually turn around after the entire field goes by, dropping to 10th position, and can't get it turned in time as well, so a 3-point turn for Ferbs, losing a bucket load of time there, and yeah, that's very unfortunate. So Ferbs drops down into P10 at the top of the hill there. But anyway, we go back on board with myself then. We have a big moment as well through the quadruple right-hander, and we managed to get away with not doing a 3-point turn, which is lovely. But yeah, we dropped to P5 with Jokin getting through as we had our little spin there. So still very tricky conditions at this stage. Here's the replay, and again, just lost traction, and yeah, that's kind of all there was to it. We weren't, trying to put an excessive amount of power down. Jokin goes through, and yeah, we drop into P5. So unfortunate little whoopsie there, but we'll carry on. Meanwhile, we've got Ash putting the pressure on Uncle Pete, and makes the move down the inside into the quadruple right-hander, and Pete slots in behind. So Ash moving through the field as well. Big moment on the exit of the final corner though, and that might give Pete the opportunity to come back, as they're going to run side by side down the main straight. It's a drag race towards turn 1 as they run all the way down side by side, but Ash using the power to get back through and make sure he stays ahead of Uncle Pete. So yeah, after working to get that move done, Ash certainly didn't want to lose it that quickly. Meanwhile, Sparrow goes a little bit deep there and flicks it around and carries on the hairpin. But yeah, bit of a awkward moment there for Sparrow, but no huge time loss out of that one, as we see Jester making his way through this never-ending quadruple apex right-hander, and a big moment on the exit, but gets away with it, and we'll keep things pointing forwards. But the line between a moment like that and dropping it completely is very fine, and Jester spins out at the S's and ends up pointing in the wrong direction, flicks it around. That might have been a bit of a sketchy rejoin, but Jester gets moving again in 4th position. So yeah, losing out a bunch of time there. So there's been no shortage of mistakes in the early stages of this race as the conditions continue to change. There's the replay on board, and the rear end just didn't follow the front, and it was as simple as that. Here's the on board with Jokin to see that rejoin. Probably didn't look as bad from this angle, but yeah, just pointing in the wrong direction as Jokin was approaching the S's there. Here's the on board with myself now, as we pick up a time penalty for that very slight moment. We just had a very small slide putting the traction down there, and yeah, we were off the road for the briefest moment, but because it was a very slight right-hander before the S's, that was enough to net us a half-second penalty. So yeah, that was an odd little moment there, but we'll carry on. It's no big deal, though we do have Bananotto not too far behind us, so we'll probably lose that position, as we will have to serve the penalty on the straight here. And yeah, that allows Bananotto up the inside into the final complex, and yeah, we're not going to be able to fight this one. Bananotto's through, and yeah, we're down into P6. Bananotto up into P5 now. So yeah, we are struggling for pace, but yeah, feeling good still in this race. Into the pits comes Gren, and carrying those medium tyres a little further into the race in the wet conditions, but now moves on to the hards as we come through the hairpin. We're going to have Slash coming up at us fairly shortly, so we'll see how we manage that one. But as we make our way through the S's, Slash dives it up the inside into the left-hander there, and I was not expecting that. He closed that gap much faster than I was expecting. So yeah, that was an unfortunate little moment there, but no harm done. Bananotto continues the charge with a move on Jester there at the exit of the quadruple right-hander, as we're under pressure from Ash at the same zone of the circuit. And yeah, we're going to give Ash the racing line towards the last few corners. Not going to make that one too hard, although Ash makes it a bit hard, running very wide out into the wet stuff there. and we stop it right on the apex, and we're just gonna let Ash keep that position rather than make a fight out of that. Uncle Pete has a good exit though, and Pete gets through, so cost ourselves a little bit of time in doing that, but yeah, we don't be fighting these two. They've got pretty good pace at the moment, and we continue to struggle on. Our tyres are absolutely fine, but just the pace isn't there. Here's the onboard with Ash. Great run through the very long right-hander there, and was able to get alongside, but maybe just a bit too late in the brakes. Maybe he thought I was going to fight that one a bit harder, and tried to go a little bit too aggressive into the braking zone. But yeah, we made sure we gave him that place anyway, so we didn't have to keep fighting for that one. Gren comes into the pits then to get rid of the hard compound tyres, moves on to the softs for the next stint, and we'll drop down the order with a refueling stop there. On board then with Slash, who's trying to make the move on Jester, who was struggling in the latter part of the S's there, and Slash gets through nice and easy there. So the early stoppers, those who moved on to the soft tyres, you know, early in the race and got those harder compounds out of the way, now starting to reap the benefits of that, as Ash also makes the move on Jester. So Slash and Ash moving through the field in tandem at the moment, and yeah, that might just continue as Uncle Pete as well has been following along with Ash. Ever since Ash made that move on Uncle Pete, Uncle Pete has been able to keep up and stay close. So Uncle Pete with some very good pace at the moment, as we see Bananotto make the move down the inside of Jokin towards turn 1, and Bananotto makes that move stick. So nice move, and that's another place for Bananotto, who's also been charging through the field. On board with myself then, as we head through the chicane once more. We've got some headlights behind us. Who's it going to be this time? It's Gren behind us right now, and we're again not going to make this too difficult, because Gren will be fighting for the lead by the end of this race more than likely, and we don't need to make this any more difficult than it needs to be. We give Gren the inside into the hairpin. Gren gets through, and we'll carry on. Meanwhile, Slash is continuing the charge towards the front of the field. Jokin doesn't make that one too difficult. Slash back up into third position, and on the podium once more in this race. At this stage, still plenty left to play out, of course. On board then with Gren through the chicane, taking a healthy chunk of that curb, and yeah, getting away with it, but a big moment on the exit. Here's Ash making the move down the inside of Jokin, never too far behind Slash with these overtakes. So Ash continues to charge through the field as well in the Charger, as we've got Jester making the move down the inside of Uncle Pete as well. So Jester finally making that move and getting through after Uncle Pete passed Jester earlier on in this race, I believe. But anyway, Sparrow is into the pits after that first stint, and moves on to the hard compound tyres, as we see Jester now putting the pressure on Jokin towards the hairpin. Jester goes for the move down the inside, and you can see it's still very wet off the racing line, but Jester gets through, and Pete coming through as well. Big moment for Jester, and Jokin is able to fight back and to maintain that position, as there was a brief moment they might have been going 3 wide into the S's. That wouldn't have worked, but they all sort themselves out. Here's Sparrow in again to move on to the medium compound tyres. Jester also boxes at the end of that lap, and it is going to be hard tyres for Jester. And Uncle Pete also comes into the pit lane. No tyres for Uncle Pete, just fuel going in to the Mach 1. Meanwhile then, out on circuit, Jester completes that one solitary lap that is required on the hard compound tyres, and then dives off into pit lane once more to get rid of those and move back onto a more preferred compound. It will be the softs going on for Jester, so a little birthday present of some grip there. But back out on circuit, we've got Gren making the move on Joken, and up into P4 goes Gren. Joken not making that one too difficult, and Gren carries on board with myself then, as we're going to come into the pits after a fairly decent stint in this race. 14 laps in, we make our first stop to move on to the hard compound tyres to get those out the way in this race. And while it's dry, I certainly didn't want to use those in the wet, especially starting mid-pack. So yeah, that's why I chose to start on the softs. But Uncle Pete also comes into the pits, and of course we've just seen Uncle Pete in the pits, so obviously those tyres that Pete chose to keep on the car not good enough for another stint, and yeah, now has to box for a set of the medium compound. But anyway, back out on circuit for myself, and yeah, we will carry on down in P8 at the moment, but not doing too bad. But we are on the hard compound tyres and didn't refuel in that stop, but confirmation there on the exit that Uncle Pete has a time penalty, so it's a shame for Uncle Pete, and we'll have to give up a few seconds later in this lap. But anyway, out in front, the battle ensues between Ash and Slash, as Ash has definitely closed that margin, and Bonanotto in front, not too far up the road as well. So yeah, there's still plenty to play out in the fight for the lead in this one, as Ash looks to the inside. There won't be an opportunity towards turn 1, but Ash is really piling on the pressure here with Slash in front. So yeah, they will be fighting it out. But meanwhile, Uncle Pete drifts it through the end of the quadruple right-hander. Gets it nice and sideways, but keeps things under control. Back on board with myself at the end of our 1 lap stint on the hards, just like almost everyone else in this race, and we'll move on to the mediums again. We'll get them out of the way while it's dry, because it might rain again later in the race, and we don't want to be running mediums in that case. But we will go for a full refill this time. It will cost us a bunch of time, of course, but actually not quite a full refill, and the reason for that actually is I saw there was a big gap behind on the track map if we came out right now, so I decided let's just go for it. We'll make another stop later in the race onto another set of softs, maybe go for a flying lap. But anyway, back with Jester, who's carrying a penalty at the moment, but Jester makes the move down the inside of Uncle Pete, who doesn't make too much of an argument out of that one. Jester's through and is able to make that move. Here's the onboard then with Jester following Uncle Pete into the braking zone. Uncle Pete deeper on the brakes, can't get it turned to the apex, or might have just been giving the place up, I don't know. But either way, the Mach 1s switch places down at the hairpin. Meanwhile, Ferb's into the pit lane, and it will be the soft tyres going on for Ferb's. Bonanotto also comes into the pits after that, and it will be a set of the medium compound tyres going on for Bonanotto. Back out on circuit, Ash is still putting the pressure on Slash, so this battle has been going on for a while, but is yet to involve any overtaking. But Ash is seriously putting the pressure on, and now goes for the move down the inside into the quadruple right-handed corner, and Ash makes the move up into first place, puts Slash down into second. So Ash takes the lead at this point in the race, but we'll see how strategy plays out, where everyone eventually filters out at the end, but that's an important move for Ash, who is yet to win a race this season. So we'll see. Maybe today will be the day. But Ash comes into the pits at the end of that lap, just moments after making that overtake. Slash follows Ash into the pits, and both of them will be going on to a set of the soft compound tyres for the next stint. Just in behind, Bananato will also be getting rid of those medium compound tyres. After a very short stint on those, soft tyres go on for Bananato. Grenster comes into the pit lane as well, and it will be the soft tyres going on for Gren in that stop. Joken also into the pits, yet to use the medium compound. We'll deal with those in the next stint. Radio on board then with Sparrow looking back towards Ash. Sparrow leaves it high and wide through turn 1, and Ash goes through down the inside. Easily there. We look back to Uncle Pete in a world of his own at the moment. Not too much going on except for a big slide into the final complex there, but gets away with it, and yeah, we'll carry on. But that was a huge slide. Here's the replay on board, carrying a lot of speed in there. Big slide. Was able to catch it and avoid the outside barrier, so a nice save for Uncle Pete. Jester comes into the pit lane, and it's going to be a set of soft compound tyres for Jester, and as we now make our way towards that final complex, we turn those wipers on because the rain is falling once more. And now it is time to get rid of these medium compound tyres. That's why I wasn't too fussed about not doing a full refill, because I figured if the rain comes down again, we'll need to box for softs. Anyway, so into the pits we come, and it's going to be, of course, the soft compound tyres going on for us for the rest of the race. It does make fuel a little bit trickier to calculate, because it's hard to say how much it'll rain and how long the track will stay wet for, but if we end up with extra fuel, we'll just burn it up. Sparrow boxes for the soft compound tyres, as well as Joken stays out on the mediums, so that's a bold call, but we'll see how that goes. It worked for Gren at the start of the race, I suppose, as we get our full tank in. And look at that on the weather radar, we had some torrential rain. We actually missed that while we were in pit lane, so yeah, that has already passed over us and dumped a whole lot of water on circuits, so it's a different world out here now since we came in. But that is Uncle Pete having a bit of a moment through the final complex, but Uncle Pete will come into the pits as well as oh, that's Ferbs pointing in the wrong direction. What's happened to Ferbs, we'll find out in a moment, but Ferbs gets it turned around a little bit quicker this time, but again loses a bunch of time with a spin there. Uncle Pete comes into the box then, and of course it will be soft tyres going on for Uncle Pete, as we'll now take a look at a replay of what happened to Ferbs here. And just lost the rear end, and again it was as simple as that. Actually, sort of similar to what we did earlier in the race, just spun around a little bit further at that same zone of the circuit where we had our spin. So yeah, here's the onboard, and oh, big hit with the wall there, and that's going to be some damage to the Ferbs car. So yeah, unfortunate, another crash, another spin for Ferbs, and yeah, more time going down the drain as we look to Joken, who is under pressure at the moment from Bananato, who makes the move down the inside into the hairpin. Joken going very deep there off circuit for Joken at the hairpin, and will carry on, but drops down into P5 with that overtake by Bananato, as we look to Jester coming out of turn 1 in a moment there for Jester, and a spin into the barrier goes Jester, and that is an unfortunate moment there. Here's someone coming through, Uncle Pete closing in but it looks like Jester's been able to get going, and we'll hopefully be able to hold on to that position without losing any more. And yeah, Jester manages to stabilize the situation. Back on board with myself then, and we're right on the back of Joken, who seems to be struggling for pace at the moment, maybe not able to find the grip, but we have plenty at the moment, and we're right on the back of Joken, who has a bit of a moment. We'll make the move to the right hand side, not for position, but yeah, we are clearly finding a bit more pace than Joken at the moment, so we're going to make this move. And we got a bit deep into the hairpin as I say that, but regardless, we're through, and well, we're not gaining any places as I just said, but through on Joken, still down in P10 in this race though, so still got a lot of work to do. But as we carry on, we do not pull away from Joken in the slightest, so I don't know if that was just a momentary lapse in pace, but I tried to pick up the pace and ended up finding the barriers there, just pushing a bit too hard. So yeah, I don't know what changed in that time, but yeah, I just couldn't find any pace over Joken once we actually made that move after closing in for about a sector before that. So yeah, a bit of a strange one. It was marginally drier, but I doubt that made the difference. But anyway, yeah, big moment into the final complex there for us, as we've now got damage to the car as well, so that's not helping. But yeah, we'll see if we need to make another pit stop or not. Jester is into the pits, and this will be for the soft compound tyres for Jester, as we go back on board with myself. At the moment, yellow flags are out because Joken is slow on the edge of the road there, so we'll have to find out exactly what happened to Joken in a moment's time. But yeah, that's another unfortunate incident for Joken in this race as we carry on through the quadruple right-hander. And oh, Joken's having another moment back there, and I think Joken has found the barriers again. So a tough few corners for Joken, running it out over the exit curb and spearing straight into the wall there for Joken. So yeah, that was the first little yellow flag that we saw when we made our way through. But then immediately after that, there was obviously that secondary issue, and yeah, again running it out wide after a bit of a moment, and yeah, bouncing it off the barriers with the rear end of the car there. So there's a fair bit of damage to the Joken mobile at the moment, as we see Gren make the move down the inside of Slash, and that's for second position. So with Ash not too far up the road, Gren might still be in this fight for the race victory, as Uncle Pete drifts it into the quadruple right-hander. Beautiful work there, and we'll carry on, get a nice exit even so. So here's the slow-mo replay of that one, well and truly sideways, but as always able to catch it, and beautiful work to still get a nice exit out of the corner. Here's Joken coming into the pit lane, and the soft compound tyres go on for Joken. Back on board with myself then, as we head towards the hairpin, and a little bit of a moment in the braking zone, but we managed to catch it, and we'll push on. But yeah, still quite tricky track conditions at the moment, with you know, with the water still laying around off the racing line. But anyway, we see Ferbs giving up a spot to Jester, who moves up into P8. Ferbs down into P9. We've got Gran coming up as well. So yeah, I'm not sure if Ferbs was pulling over for the blue flags potentially, or just giving up that spot to Jester, but either way, Jester up into P8, Ferbs down to P9. So a change for position there, as into the pits comes Jester. So that's an unscheduled stop, and Jester moves on to another set of the soft compound tyres, and this might just be for a fastest lap attempt on board with Bananotto as Jester makes the move, and Bananotto gives him a little nudge on the way through. That's not for position though. Bananotto a lap ahead of Jester, but Jester, like I said, going to go for the fastest lap, so we'll ride on board for this one to see if Jester can do it. Gren holds the fastest lap at the moment, so a 38.805 is the time to beat Jester with a 39.1 at the moment, so Jester only needs to find 3/10 to get the fastest lap, and with fresh tyres and fuel that might just be an achievable task. Personal best to the first sector, still getting blue flagged for Bananotto, but I'm sure that is of no concern to Jester. A bit wide of the apex through the hairpin, but still carrying the speed well now through the S's. Need to thread the needle through these corners and try and open up each one as much as possible, and go for slightly later apex to get a run out down the hill towards the next corner. Still only personal best, so it's going to have to be a mighty final sector if Jester wants to get this fastest lap of the race in, but carrying great speed through the never-ending quadruple apex right-hander, and now through these couple of tunnels towards the final complex. Late on the brakes into the final complex, trying to get that apex right, double apex of course at this final corner, but a nice run on the exit, so it's been a good final sector. Is it going to be enough for Jester to take the fastest lap? Yes it is. It's a 38.4 for Jester, a 4.27 of all numbers, so there you go. That is a very good lap from Jester, and potentially, if that sticks, could be a first fastest lap for the Ford Mustang Mach-1, which has yet to rack up too many different statistics, is the Mach-1, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, we're into the pits again as well, mostly just to get the damage fixed, because it's not too fun to drive around with damage all the time. But we'll splash a bit of fuel in as well, and see if we can set a personal best lap of our own late in this one, just to see what we can do. With that little splash of fuel we put in, I think we can turn it up to map 1 for the rest of the race, so that's exactly what we are going to do. Meanwhile, Jester is still pushing on in this one, and Jester's caught up to Slash. We'll make the move to the outside and get through, but that's not for position. Slash a lap up on Jester at the moment, so yeah, Jester still remains down in P9, Slash in P3, as we've got Ash leading the way at the moment with just a couple of minutes left in this race, so it's all looking rosy for Ash at the moment. But Gren is not far behind and is pushing hard, so Ash certainly can't relax until the checkered flag falls. So we'll see how this all plays out, but Gren is definitely closing in the margin to Ash throughout the recent laps, and Ash a little bit wide there. Gren trying to stick the nose in, but no way through the exit of the last complex. But Gren with a nice run along the straight. Gren makes the move to the inside as they start the final lap of the race. Gren through into the race lead, and very late in this one makes that pass on Ash. Into first goes Gren. Ash will have to settle for second unless anything goes wrong for Gren. But back on board with myself at the end of our flying lap. We set a 41.5 and a new personal best there, so just over 3 seconds away from Jester's fastest lap. For me, and the pace I've had throughout this race, I'm very happy with that time, because I've had no pace so far. Most of the race has been much further off the mark than that. But anyway, Verbs pulls over at the finish line, and looks like Jester will do the same. They're just waiting for the timer to hit 0 to avoid doing another lap. Perhaps they didn't have the fuel to do another lap, but what are they doing? Come on, guys. There's a finish line there. Jester moves in front. Ferbs gives him the nudge over the line. So Jester P8, Ferbs at P9. Sparrow comes across to take a top 5. Nicely done there by Sparrow. But Ash has second position locked down at the moment, but pulls off to the side. And Ash, I think, has run out of fuel there. And Ash has potentially made a critical strategical error in the fuel calculations and is very slow. We were crashing around the outside there as we caught up to Ash, and I was struggling to judge the closing speed there and had to take a little bit of evasive action, but no harm done. We're not really fighting for much anyway, so it's all good. Bananato also going along quite slowly at the moment too, so there might be more than a few running out of fuel at the end of this race, and anyone who has a bit in reserve can push on and potentially gain some places. Gren is potentially out there as Uncle Pete goes through, so Gren might be struggling to get to the line as Slash makes the move around the outside of Ash. So Slash is coming and has fuel to spare, it seems, at the moment. So this is all getting very exciting at the end of this one. Jokin brings it round the final few corners, and it's going to be P6 for Jokin at the end of this 1 hour race at Dragon Trail, and coasting it to the line there. Round the final corner comes Gren though, and he does have some fuel to spare as Uncle Pete flicks it across the line in front. Gren takes the victory at Dragon Trail. What a drive from Grenster. And we've got myself further back in P10 across the line to finish off a reasonable race. The result's nothing fancy, but I really did enjoy this one. Slash brings home P2, and Ash, goodness me, what could have been if there was just one more second of fuel in that car? Maybe a couple more, but yeah, it wouldn't have been much, and potentially could have been a race victory, but it wasn't to be for Ash today. He pulls up at the line. Bananato comes around the final few corners as well, also out of fuel, so a few limping to the line towards the end of this one, but yeah, it was always going to be a challenge. That's why we have these time limited races. It makes fuel much harder to calculate, and it creates moments like this. Is Bananato going to push Ash across the line? He goes around and takes P3 over the line. Ash will have to settle for 4th position. But yeah, also how's this for judging the fuel just right? 0% as we cross the line without running out. But yeah, that's the end of the 1 hour race at Dragon Trail. I had a lot of fun in this one. The Trans Am is a really nice car to drive. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get into it, but yeah, I really enjoy driving this car here. And yeah, it's just the non-engine swap version that I'm driving, just such an awesome sounding car. And yeah, it's very planted, very drivable. We had a few sketchy moments, but I mean, that's going to happen with any car in the wet. But anyway, that's 10th place in that race. Nothing fancy, but I don't care. We led the race at one point. I can't complain. But anyway, that wraps up Dragon Trail. And Jester, of course, got the fastest lap in that one, so a bonus point for Jester. But anyway, ran with the victory. Slash and Bananato rounding off the podium. First podium, I think, of the season for Bananato. But anyway, let's take a look at the championship standings and see what impact this race has had. Alrighty then, so here are the championship standings after round 4. Jester leads the way now on 97 points, just 8 points ahead of Slash, who only has 3 rounds counting towards the 89 points he scored so far. So that's an average of almost 30 points a round, which is very impressive, considering there's a 5th place in there of 24 points. But anyway, with that, we move down to 3rd position, 88 points for Sparrow, just 1 point behind Slash, and 4 rounds counting for Sparrow. So that does show how well Slash has gotten up to speed in the series so far. But further down, we've got Artsy, Bananato, and Ferbs all on 82 points. Countback putting Artsy at the top of that list. Ash next with just 3 rounds so far on 70 points. 63 points for Gren with only 2 rounds. So Gren, very good consistency as always, and will definitely be a championship contender if he can make it to the final couple of rounds. But further down, we got Uncle Pete, just 1 point behind Gren on 62, myself on 60 points, and Joken on 50. And that rounds out those who are contenders and those who are here for this round. But anyway, that is going to do it for this one. So I will say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. Other than that, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Olympus gods of war race, crash and fight, taking down opponents with immortal might. Down that dragon's trail, rallied by the crowd, in the firebird they shout their battle cry loud.
V8 engine rumble, thunder down the track, turning up the heat as they plan the attack, pushing to the limit through the sun and rain,
Pure force unleashed
like a hurricane. Iris drives the war machine, Pontiac a racing dream, Athena tunes the gears precise, power speed no sacrifice, for victory is what they strive, keeping the racing dream alive. Aegis raise the driver's shield, sparks fly on the battlefield.
Paris fights no other way, charge through the field with no delay. Athena's plans will set the pace, taking turns with divine grace.
Iris raises hellfire, burning tread marks clear, Athena's wisdom steering, keeping rivals in the rear. Round every twist and turn, they know the score, chasing victory into the skies they soar. Iris drives the war machine, Pontiac a racing dream, Athena tunes the gears precise, power speed no sacrifice, for victory is what they strive, keeping the racing dream alive. Aegis raise the driver's shield, sparks fly on the battlefield.
In the mighty roar of vengeance, the legends collide. As rubber meets asphalt, they fight side by side.
With every lap they turn, their spirits sing and soar. In the racing arena, they're forever ready war. Iris drives the war machine, Pontiac a racing dream, Athena tunes the gears precise, power speed no sacrifice, for victory raise the driver's shield. Sparks fly on the back.